And joining me now, Oklahoma Republican Congressman Tom Cole, Deputy Majority Whip in the House. Congressman, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I want to start off by getting your reaction to President Obama's speech yesterday at the UN and also the significance of that UN resolution. It was really a call for the international community to join in this fight.
Well, I appreciate very much what the president had to say in terms of being very clear in his description of who and what ISIL is and why, frankly, we're going to have to engage them and ultimately destroy them. And I appreciate the vote. Look, of course, it's easy to vote. You want to see that followed up with action and commitment of real forces. But unanimity in the international community about an organization like ISIL can only be helpful. So, again, I think those were two good things yesterday, and I appreciate the president acting forcefully.
Well, you bring up the issue of a vote. You have said that you want to see Congress vote on expanding airstrikes into Syria. Given this new information that we have about this group, Khorasan, apparently planning an attack, an imminent attack, does that change your calculation? Do you still think that Congress needs to come back and vote on this, Congressman?
I absolutely favor a vote. Look, I think when you go to war, you vote on war, and we managed to delay that. I appreciate the fact that we did have a vote on the training of the Free Syrian Army, but that resolution or amendment specifically stated that it was not an authorization for war inside Syria. We're obviously engaged in war inside Syria, so it seems to me the appropriate thing for Congress to do is actually to vote on it.
Well, Congressman, should you all come back from recess? Would you be willing to come back from your recess to vote on it? I mean, where's the urgency in Washington? David Cameron is recalling the British Parliament, and yet you all are on recess right now.
Well, I certainly would go back. I made that, position abundantly clear when I spoke in the House last week in session. I thought we should be doing a full authorization. I continue to believe we should. I'd be more than happy to go back and do it. I think the president, frankly, ought to call us back. Traditionally, the way this is done is the president submits a request and a resolution to Congress. So far, the administration, while it said we welcome, congressional support, actually hasn't been willing to ask for it, has done very little to seek it. The president himself would have preferred not having a separate vote on Syria. The administration request was to just fund this as part of the continuing resolution. So I appreciate the fact that Speaker Boehner didn't do that in the House. In the Senate, though, they actually did. They didn't have any sort of vote on anything at all other than just running the government. So I think coming back, making a clear statement and authorizing it, reclaiming war-making authority of the Congress, those are all good things. I've signed a letter with my friend Jim McGovern from Massachusetts. We don't agree on a lot of things, but on this we do. And it's a bipartisan letter with a number of other members from both sides of the aisle.
And Congressman, before I let you go, I want to get your thoughts on this international coalition that is coming together. Of course, 5 Arab nations joining the United States in airstrikes in Syria. But of course, the president has said that ground troops are going to be needed from regional forces, and he also wants Turkey to get on board. What is your level of expectation that those two things are going to come together, that we're going to see the airstrike campaign broaden, and that the president's going to get those ground troops that he wants from Arab countries?
I think it's going to take a while, but we're moving in the right direction. Now, I don't agree that we should rule out unilaterally the use of ground forces. We're not going to commit major combat units, but you want the ability to use special operators on selective strikes and those sorts of things, or artillery spotters or air spotters a little closer to the action. But
to be clear, again, Congressman, you mean U.S. ground troops. You're saying that the president should leave the door open for U.S. ground troops. He should.
Look, that doesn't mean you have to use them, but you don't start ruling out options and telling the other side what you will and won't do. That's just not a way to wage war. But I do appreciate the fact the president has gotten Arab participation. I think Turkey, now that its diplomats are free, right on the border with ISIL, they've got literally tens of thousands of refugees flooding into their country. They've got an interest in the area, so I'm hopeful that they will be more engaged. They actually have the most formidable Islamic military in the region, and again, they've been historically a good friend and ally of the United States, so they should be involved with us here.
All right. Thank you, Congressman Cole. We appreciate your time this morning. And I want to bring in